Welcome, nutritionradio.org listeners. This is Lonnie Lowry, a university nutrition professor of over 20 years and podcast host of long-running shows like Iron Radio. Come on in. Weight management tips. Hey, everybody. Today's weight management topic is more of a critique of how the media portrays exercise. I've touched on this before, but it deserves its own little discussion. Let's actually start with the conclusion. Exercise is not simply anti-eating. If you've been listening to the podcast early episodes, you know that energy balance or perhaps carbon balance, it's the beginning but not the end-all be-all of weight gain and loss. In other words, it needs to be a consideration, but everyone from bloggers to mainstream television journalists to healthcare professionals often obsess over calorie counting. If you already have experience with fitness, you know that you are not out there lifting weights or running or pushing a sled or climbing a mountain just to counteract those morning pancakes. You're not out there simply to bleed away that bagel and cream cheese, counting calories per minute until you break even. It's an absurd notion. You're out there for the gains. But what are those gains? Let's take a look at this. Crack open an exercise physiology textbook, or I'll do it for you, and you can quickly learn that the basic adaptations, right, gains, that came with aerobic or anaerobic exercise are many. As an endurance athlete, you get both central and peripheral changes, better heart function, more mitochondrial powerhouses in your muscles, more capillaries to deliver oxygen and nutrients in those tissues, improved stroke volume with every beat of your heart, and that's evidenced in the lower resting heart rate that you can clearly see. You literally become a better fat-burning machine. And this is to say nothing of the fact that your fatigue resistance increases your capacity to do so many things during the day that a lot of people simply can't do. It's almost like a low-ranking superhero. And what about power exercise? Over weeks of lifting and doing explosive movements, you dramatically improve nerve and muscle function and ultimately muscle mass. Even muscle fiber type will change in the direction that you command. When you're strong, and many of you know this, almost everything you do during the day is so submaximal, it's a joke. Again, like a low-ranking superhero. This all seems lost on the journalists and sometimes the personal trainers or even dietitians that talk about this calorie counting, calorie burning kind of idea. When you exercise regularly, you have hormonal and even blood volume changes that make your whole body operate differently. You pump blood more efficiently. You have a lower stress response. Your insulin sensitivity improves, making you a better carb metabolizer. Your antioxidant capacity increases. And of course, whether you're an endurance athlete or a power athlete, you start to get the benefits of poor man's plastic surgery. Body composition changes with less fat and more lean. But wait, there's more. All of the above is not even to mention the mental health benefits. That's going to deserve a whole episode or two of its own. So obsessing over calories and diet alone simply will not do these things for you. Calorie burning, calorie drain by itself doesn't lead to all these adaptations. It's missing the point. So here's today's gold nugget and challenge for you. Do a Google image search for the term exercise adaptations. Not gains with a Z, adaptations. Especially focus on the .edu, right, from the universities. Those sources, maybe a physiology journal. Prove to yourself firsthand that exercise changes you from the ground up. I say this in the classroom all the time, from the subcellular level all the way up. You become a different person. Maybe like me, you'll come to roll your eyes when you hear the journalists ask, how long does someone have to run to counteract that bagel? It's an absurd notion. So, okay, there's today's weight management tip. Really a rant. If you like tips, rants, just news, which is most of what we do here, please consider leaving a review on iTunes. It may be the single biggest thing. Subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. It hugely affects the way that they look at us. Of course, we're on Stitcher and Spotify and Amazon/Audible. We're all over the place. We even have our own little web site that's somewhat similar from the nutritionradio.org site. And we're backed up on YouTube as well. It's just a backup, and you can tell we don't put a lot of time into it. It's just sort of an automated place to back things up. But if you have a living room device, you like to listen to the podcast through YouTube, it's a great way to do that. And it lets you interact. I do try to respond to people when they make comments on our YouTube backup. I suppose last up, I am looking forward towards setting up either a Patreon, which takes some work up front, or easier for me, a PayPal, just reopening the PayPal. So some of our existing people, we have a membership of a couple hundred emails that I might reach out and just say, hey, we're not going to turn on PayPal back for you, of course, without your permission. But if you want to support the show, we're actually on multiple servers now, and the costs will add up. If we want to keep doing this, we're going to have to at least break even. It's listener supported. That's the way it's going to be in the future. But for the first several episodes, including what we're doing now, obviously we're just doing this pro bono, but eventually we're going to have to pay for a lot of this stuff, and we'll be accepting supporting members. So thanks for considering that as we move forward. Again, probably the most easiest is just set it up through PayPal like we used to do before, and I can give you a web link, etc. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's rant. We'll see you next time. The NutritionRadio.org podcast is for informational purposes only. If you're interested in starting a diet or exercise program, check with your physician, nutritionist, or qualified exercise physiologist in order to make the progress that you need.